I have been okay, like I have been much better ever since Qismat ended.
Oh my gosh, that also was like so much work,
So,
like,
so much work.
oh my
Are
God.
you coming to TT, by the way?
Is it happening in Bangalore this time?
Yeah, yeah. Meghna,
Yes.
welcome to this kind of above the table talk that I'm doing for Qismat,
Yes.
where I'm speaking to like the GMs, and the creators behind our little actual play, which
Mhm.
is it's finally over, and I'm so glad it's done because it was, I won't say a hellish like 6, 7 months, but it took a lot out of me.
Oh my gosh. I feel like sometimes it's easier to appreciate these things after you've had like a little space from them.
Yeah,
Like, when a project just consumes you and you're just like, I need this to be over.
yeah,
And just sometimes you forget, like, oh, this is why I started it, and this is like the love I had for it and the joy that it brought me. Because I think it's very easy to like get really caught up in like the inconveniences that just pile up and
mm-hmm.
exhaust you. And like I think I feel this with a lot of my projects where I'm like, I will be able to look at it maybe a couple of months from the completion. Until then, I don't want to see it. Even the final product, I'm like, okay, put it away. Don't show me. You know, I've had enough of looking at it for a while. Yeah.
And like we were actually, I mean, the first time I spoke to you was along with Steve for a project that didn't like, didn't go through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like I had seen your art by then, and I was like, okay, for Kismet, I think her art would really, really work well with the kind of thing that I'm trying to tell. And like lo and behold, like the characters you made far exceeded the expectations I had,
I'm so
which was
glad.
amazing.
I had such a good time working on this, and I feel like I tell people this also, which is that I think making art for D&D feels so different because a lot of my work is very, even the good stuff, is very like rooted in like commerce or like money making or
Mhm.
and I feel like D&D is just so much more personal and you are like I get a few commissions where someone will commission me to make art for their partner or which
Mhm.
again I'm like I will pour my heart and soul into this and I feel like D&D art really like feels like that for me because it's so personal to the people that I'm making this
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
versus like I think you kind of feel like for the other stuff I work on, I do a lot of graphic design for fintech and like e-commerce and things like that.
Mhm.
And it's sort of that you're in that like industry where it's in the void and then it's gone. It's like a flash in the pan just to quickly make money, catch eyes. And I know that the work I did got to do for Kismet was so much more like meaningful and like long lasting. And yeah, I really felt like I will think of this project fondly. And I think, how I was like, oh, I don't want to look at it. I didn't necessarily feel like that about this because I was pulling out the characters to show my friends. Like the whole time, I was like, oh my gosh, look at this fun thing I've got to do. I'm like, oh no, it's like it's work, and I'm finding a way. It's also I'm excited because I'm like, maybe I can use this to build like a portfolio for more projects like this, in the
Yeah.
future, if like this was really joyful, like to work on. Yeah, excited about that, like, of course.
I mean, like your character designs have been like beloved by by the people who have seen it
Mhm.
like so much, and like I though obviously will love it, and it helped. Even your rough drawings helped because like I was doing the storyboard art based on what little idea I had of what the character designs were.
Right.
So as you were sending me, okay, this is a rough idea for that. I was like, okay, now I have an idea of what this
Oh,
person looks like. I
that's
can
so
quickly do a storyboard of it,
yeah,
of the scene.
that's
Uh,
so nice. I did see some of the storyboards. I'm like, Aman, why aren't you making art? I mean, I know you were like doing a whole bunch of other things, but like your storyboards were really good. I was like,
Thank
hey,
you.
I really struggle with like dynamic art, like, poses and things like that. I think it takes me a little bit more like research and stuff to get into that. But like, for just putting those out there, I was seeing them on like the Discord like channels and stuff. I was like, why am I here? I mean, like, we should be working together, like, uh,
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, like, it helps because I come from a filmmaking background, and like and before that, I used to work as an illustrator, and so like I had those like connections, so I was able to
Mm-hmm.
draw that. I knew like what camera angles to use,
Right.
what lensing to use, uh, and I work in storyboarding. I still do,
Right.
not as much now, unfortunately, because of you know
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
Um, I
uh,
uh, small segue. I have seen, pitches come in by producers like, "Hey, we need specific art for this TV series or this web series we are pitching to this, very
mhm.
big OTT, platform." And they send me the pitch, and it's filled with AI art.
Oh my
I won't call it art, AI imagery.
imagery.
I was
It
like, and they were like, we need a nice cover art. What is your storyboard charge? And we'll pay for that board. I'm like, bitch, that it doesn't work like that.
it doesn't
And
work
if
like
you're
that.
fucking using AI imagery, keep this shit away from me.
It's
It,
so difficult to look at, and it's really like I don't know how to explain it. Like I do know how to explain it. If I start talking about it, I will go on forever. Like I just at this point, I think I'm not threatened by it in the sense, what pisses me off is that sometimes in my work, it they ask that I use AI. They ask like, hey, put this in AI, do this thing, and I'm just like, I hate doing this work. I don't like using AI, and I think I'm so glad that there are things like this that I can work on that get I get to really like put my heart into and use to like I get to grow through, and I'm not threatened by AI in the sense of I think I'm glad that I have a weird like okay, I can separate myself from the work that I, like make a living through, which is like sometimes graphic design or whatever for corporate. And I'm like, okay, if I have to do like kind of AI stuff for that and whatever, it's not super meaningful to me. I'll do it. And then in all the free time I get, I'm going to really pour myself into doing like beautiful art and meaningful projects. And like, I won't let them touch this. I'm not going to like let them
yeah.
touch what is like sacred to me. So I think I'm very like protective of that. And so I will never use AI for any of my own personal creative work. Whether it be writing or drawing or anything. But I've really had to like use it for work because it changes not just the industry in terms of like taking work away from people, especially changing the landscape for freshmen, like freshers coming into the industry who now don't have like a place where they can kind of like fumble and grow and do
Yeah.
like these small tasks, because you need like these stepping stones. But it's also very much changing how clients think of people. And there is this really interesting, uh, it's like, it's not an article, but it is called The Machinehood Manifesto by S.P. Divya, who is an Indian sci-fi author. And it's got some great, like, I think about this a lot and I talk about it when it comes to like AI conversation, where one of the points was, I think it's like a fictional manifesto where it talks about living in harmony or like equal rights for the machine or whatever. I think they bring up a point where they're like, humans are creating technology and then they have to compete with that technology, and then like you're in this kind of never ending race where you are always not going to keep up. And on top of that, it is this thing of people now think that, oh, because you've gotten so used to AI, I'll snap my hand at this intern and they'll come up with a new option. And they don't think that people are out here putting effort into this thing, to think it up, to make it take shape. And they're like, because they're just getting so used to, like, the regenerating images without thinking about it. And now that's what they expect from people. And timelines on projects get shorter. People, the work people get in, like, put in, is valued less. And so all the clients I'm working with do show that sort of like shift in mentality when it comes to like what people are putting out. There's no like realistic timelines on things anymore.
Yeah.
I felt like that also was something that was so different about Kismet, just the fact that I had like so much time to think about, prepare for, and work on like just one of the portraits. It felt like I could give it time and I could talk to people and I could figure it out, and I didn't have to like generate it in 20 minutes and then hand it over, and then it's gone. Like who knows what happens to it after that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you make a good point of like, of especially newcomers fumbling
yeah,
in the industry because it's so important for growth. If I hadn't made mistakes when I started in the advertisement industry, I wouldn't have the knowledge or the know-how to not make that mistakes. And when you like,
exactly.
transferred it to AI, you're not I sound like an old man yelling at clouds, but if you're not making those mistakes, I mean, like, if you're transferring those mistakes to AI, you're not actually, learning.
It's so true.
You're you're delegating it, and that's how you get bad leaders.
Yeah, it's so true. I think I value so much being able to like there there is so much value in the industry placed on the output over the process, which
Mm-hmm.
is why like I think people are just like, oh, we speed it up, we put out whatever, and also like it just normalizes mediocrity in the market,
It
because
already has.
it has, people are so happy with absolute nonsense, and you're just like, there is so much charm in like the old handmade things, even if it isn't like this airbrushed looking. And you see it in films, right? Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is like a big controversial take at this point, but like when I was young, and I know like he was in the public eye in a very negative light, but I'm talking about Johnny Depp because one of my favorite series is like The Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, I loved it.
It's
I
so
love
good.
pirates.
I'm a big like I love a monster movie. I love like a big robots movie. Pacific Rim is like one of my top movies of all time. I will watch it every single
Papa
time.
Toro.
Yes, he knows how to do the monsters justice. I'm like
Yeah.
everything, there is something in my heart, like the kind of rush that I get from watching like shonen anime. Like Del Toro kind of gets that. And I think Pirates of the Caribbean, when I think about it, I'm sure I do not know anything about the process. I think
Mm.
that went into the movie. I do know something, which is that how some of it is like obviously CGI, but some of it I know is like prosthetics, and like they really leaned into, oh, you can be like gross and slimy and grimy.
Skarsgård.
Yes.
He said I want prosthetics.
Headaches. I was just like, oh my God. And it shows. It shows how realistic it is. It shows how believable it is. And I think you can tell in how the movies progressed past the third one, how it, like, even just the trailer, and I haven't watched them. So I mean, past the third one. So I cannot speak on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched the trailer and I was like, there is this feeling of everything looking more airbrushed, and there is less texture in like environment, like things aren't dirty and grimy and they aren't like covered in like knickknacks and things, and so I feel like they are flattening everything, and I think that's also what AI does, it just airbrushes and flattens
Yeah.
everything, and you're just like, there is no layers to this. And then I am overcome sometimes with like absolute delight by watching artists explain their process and being like, oh my gosh, how does your brain work? How did you think about that? And it's inspiring because I'm like, I wanna do things like this. And I don't think I've ever felt particularly inspired by AI art because I very much do not know the process it used to create it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I wondered, I do feel like maybe if I looked into it more, I know for a fact that I'm sure that it is an interesting, like, what do you say? Like the process of creating it, I'm sure was really interesting to think about how it might have, how people might have like created, I'm speaking without knowing anything, but I no, I do know. I have done a lot of like reading and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to like remember it all off the top of
Yeah,
my
fair, fair.
head. Yeah, but I and because there is still a lot of like fascinating things in like things that I don't understand. Um, but I think the way that they're using it just feels so and it pisses me off. I'm so annoyed by
Yeah,
it. I'm like, stop. Like, you're taking the joy out of it. Like, it's supposed to be messy. It's supposed to be gross. It's supposed to
yeah.
be messy. And I'm supposed to, like, fuck up and, like, learn from it. And I don't get to do that. And then that means I am not here. You are getting 10% of my brain for this job. I'm going to do it in 30 seconds. And then I'm going to go and do something else. So, in some ways, I feel very, like, I'm glad sometimes that the work I do that like pays my bills doesn't take any of my brain and I can kind of save it for like the important things, like this
Mm-hmm.
project, where I
Fair
can
enough.
be like, oh, it's like meaty. I can like chew on it, like I can figure
Yeah.
out a character design and chew on it. I love that. Which is
Uh,
mhm,
uh, even to that point, like at least this was my take. I think I've even spoken about it in one of my other videos that I don't even like people. I like I do not like AI generated art anyhow.
mhm,
I also personally I don't even like it when people use it for playtesting their board games.
agree.
I'm like, it's a playtest.
Yeah.
You can
Don't
literally
stick figures.
scribble it,
Yeah.
stick figures, just write it. Like, write, this is a human head. Like, imagine a human head. It's a playtest. You're
Yeah.
supposed to be, you know,
Yeah.
it's unpolished.
Yeah.
It's fine to use nothing. It's fine to even use just text like human.
Yeah.
That's it. And now I'm starting to see like AI generated imagery in like finished game material as well.
Oof.
Which like I was like, no.
No.
And there was one particular game that I saw, board game that I saw, and I immediately went like, oh, this game looks cool. But then I just zoomed in a bit. I'm like, oh no.
Oh no, that's so
Uh,
true. I feel very. I'm trying to remember. Oh my gosh, I think it was like this. I'm not. no, wait, I'm misremembering. But I do feel like when I see that AI has been used to create something, I feel like a very visceral draining of excitement. Like, where I was like excited about this. I was going to be like, oh my gosh, how do they do this? Nobody is going to explain it to me because it very much isn't like a conscious thought out process. It is like a mishmash, and it is like, okay, I've made this, and now what? Now what are you doing with your time? Now that you've done this, I don't know. I
it happened with a like a game which I had purchased, board game which I had purchased,
hmm
and on the cover it looked like it was beautifully illustrated. Um, and then I opened it. I made a whole fucking unboxing video, and I was unboxing and looking at the cards. It's like, wait a minute,
oh no,
something isn't right. And I look closer and like, oh no.
oh no.
And then I asked them, and they were like, yeah, it's AI generated. We worked a lot on it to match the colors, and then the graphic designers went in and matched all the colors with all the cards with the imagery. I'm like, no. And then I deleted the video, deleted the unboxing video.
Oh
Uh,
gosh,
I'm like, nope,
truly
sorry, sorry.
unfortunate.
It's like you do you. I can't like do that on my
Yeah,
YouTube at least. But
absolutely.
segueing into that, I love the art that you did for EXO to EXO games.
Hey, I'm
Uh,
so glad. Yeah, Gail and
I
I worked together on
uh,
the Masala Lab game, and
yeah.
like one after that, I'm suddenly like the name is like is slipping from me. I'm so sorry, but like this little card game for a fitness company. Uh, I will tell you in a second when I like when I come to
No
the
worries, no
recipe.
worries.
Yeah. Hmm.
So yeah, like in December,
Mhm.
I went to when I met them, I did their interview, and I was like, the art is so cool. It looks similar, but I couldn't place it. Like I've seen this style of art before, but I can't place it. Like the artist is really must be really good, etc. And then I was like researching them before I posted their reels and video,
Mhm.
went to the social medias and I'm like, huh, this name sounds similar. I'm like, oh my God, I
Wait a
know,
second.
I know this woman. And then I'm like, oh hell yeah,
That's
it
so funny.
was like yeah, the art was like really cool. How was the process
I will tell
for
you,
that?
it was very unfortunate for me because one, for health reasons. I was on a very, very strict diet when drawing all that food. It
Oh
was
no.
very painful.
Oh no.
I was not allowed to eat anything, and I'm here drawing the most, trying to get like very stylized but like realistic looking mutton Rogan Josh, and I'm like,
Oh God.
why am I doing this to myself? And I'm like, what have I done to deserve this? This is
Yeah.
kind of like, have I done something? This is like,
Is there a God?
is there God? And also, why is he mad at me? Why is he at mad at me island right now? Like, so I think it was so much fun because I think I have not drawn food before that. And I think I had like, I really did like drawing those little icons. I think my favorite part of the whole thing was there's a little pattern that you can see on the backs of the cards and on the inside of the box lid and places like that. I was figuring out how to do like a repeating pattern that you can kind of like size up, size down, using places. And I think from there, I did end up moving into drawing more repeating patterns, which I think was like, that was like a little point of exploration and growth for me.
Mm.
I also hadn't drawn too much food before that, and Kiran was very extraordinarily very, very patient, and like the timelines were very like, okay, this is definitely doable. And I think in general, it's always really helpful when you work on a project and their idea of the final art already matches your style, and you don't have to like try too hard to make it like a thing that you're not used to
Mhm.
trying. And as I kind of get like a little bit more experience, I realize that there is a style like that I work in, which is like, a particular kind of line thickness and a particular kind of color and
Mm.
shading style. And so when I was younger, I wouldn't really know what people meant by like, oh, I recognize this art, because I at that time I think I was like trying a bunch of different things, and then like, so it didn't feel like I had a style. But I think I realized like like through that exploration, there's this like, you see these little common pieces that have a style that I've kind of fallen into right now. So this for like Masala Lab, I was very it came easily. I was really like, oh, this is easy work. I wish I wasn't on a diet. And
Mm.
it's like colorful work. I'm a big fan of like getting to use a lot of like color and texture. And so I sometimes like when I asked to do like very somber projects, I've often like be told to like tone it down a little bit, because I'm just like, maybe we add like a little bit of pink, and they're like, no, no, blues and blacks only. And I'm like,
Mm.
the pink will help, trust me. So I think that way it was really nice to get to work with um, someone who really trusted me to do my job and let me do it well. And I think I really always appreciate that. And those are people that I really always want to work more with. Yeah, I look back on that project very fondly now. When I was like just done with it, I was still on that diet. I'm like, I will not look at this. I
Mm.
refuse to look at the printed card. I am very sad about all food related matters right now.
Oh my God.
It was
Uh,
like, it wasn't anyone's fault. It wasn't the client's
yeah.
fault. It was just a personal circumstance that
Yeah.
very much
I
affected
know.
how I was
Oh man,
experiencing
I
the
can
project.
empathize. Uh, and When coming into God Killer, now we're gonna segue from board games into TTRPGs, into God Killer. Was this your first foray into like TTRPG illustration, or have you done this before?
I think the only other work I had done then was work for Steve's Panthless Stable, like the character heads and like the little mug illustrations.
I I I ha
Recently.
I have those.
The Cody, yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw it. I didn't see it, but a friend sent it to me and was like, "Did you work on this?" And I was like, I didn't know the merch was out. Like I did, but like, so I was really excited to see it.
Nice.
But yeah, I think apart from that, if you know Vignesh, I actually so they have been holding like campaigns in their world, and I got to draw like a map for it. It was my first time doing like a fantasy map, and so that was really fun.
I want to see it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to show you. I will send it to you after this
Yeah,
now, like
yeah,
after this.
yeah.
Okay. I will say I'm so proud of it. It's like I was immediately like I am putting this in my portfolio. So fingers crossed. And this is also something that when I was in like doing my graphic design masters, I had a little like phase where I was like, oh my gosh, I want to work on maps. And so this feels like a little callback where I think
Mhm.
I did more formal looking maps. It was like exploratory in the way that like students explore, but I think this one was very like, oh my gosh, I'm getting to, work with someone and bring their like vision to life. And I'm playing in a campaign with Vignesh as DM right now,
Nice.
and so we use my map as like our where we are going, and this is where the locations are. So every time we open the map, I always have to be like, oh, such a lovely map. Where'd you get it? And
Yeah.
it's like shameless self plug
Yeah.
every session.
I played in Vignesh's game during the December's Tea Talks last year,
Oh,
because at that time like it was a strange time because like there were volunteers asking everyone around like, hey, we're looking for more people to join a D&D table. There aren't enough people, and I'm like, D&D is a game. I'm like, I know what D&D is. Where is the table?
where is the table? Just point me. I am a professional. You know,
I'm a professional. Just point me in the direction.
this is my like
So
work.
I played with Vignesh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice. I'm actually like not new anymore now that I think about it, but I think I'm trying to think of, I think it was last year that I started playing D&D for the first time. And I've been in
Mm.
like, I think 2 or 3 campaigns, and I've made so many friends through it. And I think it's something that I don't know if I'm just like new to like the D&D circles,
Hmm.
but I feel like it's more vast than I thought it was. And I also feel like everyone, I don't know if this is like a dropout getting popular situation where suddenly more people are aware of D&D, or maybe even just the fact that um, the the Matt Mercer campaigns have been made animated series now.
Hmm.
My sibling is who got me into D&D, and they're like a big fan, and they also DM, and they are sitting here looking at me right now. But like, but yeah, so I think everything I know, like I know through them, and I've been exploring more and playing with people outside of them, and it's such a wonderful, like,
Hmm.
wholesome. I've had only good experiences, and I've gotten closer to people I knew, but like we were like a certain kind of like friend, and now we're like D&D friends, just
Yeah.
like a different kind of
Yeah, yeah,
friendship.
exactly. I know exactly what you mean. Uh,
Yeah, because you're
uh,
out here like fighting dragons and role playing, and that's a different kind of relationship than like,
yeah, you need to
you know.
be able to like. There's a thing. I was listening to an interview by a GM called Craig Tezrak
Hmm.
on another channel, and they were saying like he was saying that the first thing he asks when people come to the table is, "Hey, can you play pretend?" Which
Hmm.
is like so important for
It
it.
is. It
Like you
is. It is.
have to be able to play pretend. You have to be able to pretend that you're in a spaceship fighting giant leviathans
That
in
is.
space,
I am
if
thinking.
need to.
I'm thinking about this, and I'm wondering. I actually feel. Now that I think about it, as a person, I think I've been very self-conscious most
Mm-hmm.
of my life. Like you are kind of like, a bit of a goofy
Yeah.
person, sure, but like, it's quietly. I think D&D and playing, like, I mean, playing with friends and role playing and doing the playing pretend has loosened me up in ways where I feel a little bit more like today I went out to dinner with my sibling and their friend, and like it was one of those things where there's like, oh, there's karaoke, and you're just like, oh my gosh, let's go to karaoke, and it feels less intimidating to sort of like perform. I think in
Mm.
front of people, where I mean, sure, singing, but like, I
Yeah,
think
no, I know
there is,
exactly what you mean.
yeah, I think a previous version, a pre-D&D version of me would have been too self-conscious and anxious to
I
like go up
know
there.
exactly what you mean.
But it was
I
just like, we're gonna go there, we're gonna be a little silly, we're gonna have a good time, and then we're gonna leave. And nobody here is gonna remember us, and that's fine. Like
I
so.
know exactly what you mean because like I was so introverted before that, and I think it hurt me socially as well.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly.
I'm like, oh my God, I wish I knew about D&D beforehand. And I did. And I ignored it. And I'm not like,
Yeah.
oh, I knew about it in 2014. I was like, I could have been playing D&D since 2014.
I think
Oh,
it felt like it existed in a different place,
yeah.
like it
I think I
didn't.
was also in a different place at that time.
Yeah, I
So
think.
I didn't get into it, although I think I would have liked to. But anyway,
Yeah.
what's done is done.
We are
Uh,
we are where we are, where we meant
yeah.
when we are meant to be, I think.
Yeah.
Like, hmm.
And coming to God Killer Qismat, what was your experience working with the GMs and the players?
Oh, it was okay. So I feel like I've told I've told someone this.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I told someone this, which is that I was like, this is like an ideal project because I feel like again, a lot of the work that I do, because it's like around corporate and stuff, there's this feeling of you are, I'm trying to explain it because you are making stuff for other people, but there is this back and forth that sort of drains the enjoyment or the excitement out of this process. And I think with the work that I did for Kismet, I was so surprised actually because I think, when you want to play a character,
Hmm.
my experience with characters is that I do tend to sketch them actually, like because I feel like I want to like be able to visualize them, and so I think it made me really happy to be able to help someone else visualize their characters, and because I think it's so important to like be able to like see them in your mind when you embody them.
Hmm.
And I also think I did have a little bit of anxiety around like because these also felt like real world cultures. And I
Hmm.
was looking at, say, for example, um, like images of period dramas and things like that. You're always like, am I going to m-
Stereotype,
misrepresent or like, am I um am I like
stereotype, or
mishmashing, yeah,
yeah,
a stereotype, or am I mishmashing like cultures from like because like no country is homogenous, and I'm like, am I
yeah.
mishmashing things from different places?
Hmm.
Um, but also at the same time, I what I kind of was I had to like tell myself also like this is like real world culture, but it's also kind of fantasy, like I know
Yeah.
that like it's sort of like based on each other,
Hmm.
but I'm not. I did have like a little bit of that. Oh my gosh, am I like you know am I
Am I gonna get cancelled?
yeah am I being damaging to cultures by not being historically accurate? Should I consult historians before? And it's sort of like I was just like, this is supposed to be a fun fantasy thing, like let's calm down here a little bit. You're not like sending this to a museum being like this was the historically accurate outfit of this time. That's not what I'm doing, So
Yeah.
I had to also like talk myself down a little bit and be like, let's. And I think it also was that situation where you're like, okay, this person wears a particular kind of outfit, but they're also like, they have like, what do you say? Like they have fox ears. you're not, this is also fantasy. Like, calm down, like this is, so I think I had to do that. Um, and it helped. And I think I really like enjoyed the fact that everyone had so many references, and I think I love being given a bunch of information and being asked to like parse through it. I am a big fan of sorting and being like, yes, I love a little organization situation.
Mhm.
I'm a big spreadsheets and lists
Nice.
person. So
You're an Excel girly.
truly, I am. And so when given a bunch of like, oh, this, but also this, but also this, but also this, I love being able to be like, okay, maybe we can do this, but maybe make it in the shape of this thing. So it's a little bit of both. And like that kind of, and I
Hmm.
think that part of the process is so fun for me. And I think when I've also done like more complicated pose references and stuff, a lot of what I do is like, and some of what I did for Qismat also to figure out, okay, this swordsman has a hat that angles this way, but I want his hand to be on his sword, but I also want his body to be angled this way. And then I'll find a bunch of reference images. And then I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I'll cut the head off of this guy and then put the head of another guy on and then a hand of another man on.
Hmm.
And so it is a very like Frankenstein image of, and then I was
It's a
like, okay,
collage,
yeah.
and
And I'm like, okay, you're perfect. And then I look at that and I draw it. And so I think that part of the process, collage in general, is such a fun thing because
it
you
is.
can mess around with it constantly. And even after that, I think I really like the, like, I used to like really doing that thing where you switch on like all of the shading layers and everything. So you can see like, oh, from this to this, how it jumps. Like I liked doing that a lot.
Yeah.
So I think with respect to the art that I got to do, I when I talked about it being like an ideal project, it also felt like in terms of how my experiences with clients are, not just that everyone was so encouraging and appreciative of the art, but the back and forth was also seamless wherever it happened. Like either people were already like so happy with it, and I was very open about like I can make any changes you want. And
Hmm.
everyone's like, no, no, this is perfect. Or they'd be like, oh, hey, can we like maybe make this tiny change here? It was so minor, and in that way, the process felt so seamless that I was just like, this is a magical experience. I want to work with only these kind of people. Yeah, like being like, please, more clients.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, in front of my shrine, like, please, just more clients like this. Because and I think let the joy remain in the project without it
Mhm.
being like oh, this has to, a lot of what I have to do before, like, other work is like, oh, this has to sell. So this has to look like, what do people
Mhm.
like and things like that. And I don't have to be like, it doesn't matter what people like. Like, what does this one person like and care about? And I think as someone who also just like is a gift giver and like, I'm just like, I'm so happy that this makes
Mhm.
you happy. I'm like, yes.
Nice.
So I think that's like a fun thing about like doing commissions and doing work like this that is personal to people. I think there is like, I find a lot more satisfaction in this kind of work. And I think this kind of work also keeps me going in the middle of having to do a lot less
Hmm.
satisfying work, and having to work
Hmm.
with AI, having to work on things that just involve like, when you're aware of like, like late stage capitalism and things like that. And you're part of a cog, you're like a cog in this machine.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to make money or whatever, and you have to be like, okay, I need to find a way. There is this sense of like a lot of guilt and a lot of like exhaustion and like, is this what it takes to survive kind of a feeling. And so I think projects like this really like help me keep the faith at maybe there will be more of this in the future.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I loved the like art from the get-go, like especially like when I first saw color, I was like, I'm in love with color because she, she right down to the way she stood, to the way she was looking to the side with her eyes half closed. I'm like, this color is perfect.
Yes.
because like her art embodied not just the fact that okay she has to pose in a certain way because she's the trophy or the champion of a god, but also that she's like tired.
Right.
uh
Absolutely.
and we got the same with Jose, Apollo's character, who was like oh my God, baby girl, I just want to give you a hug, you're so
I know.
tired.
Oh my gosh. I really
Uh,
had fun with all the texture around the eyes. I was like,
yeah.
these are tired characters.
And even to like working, you making the art for the gods. I
Mhm.
remember you telling me that when you were making the art for Khwahish or
Mhm.
Desire, I think you had like you were experimenting for the first time a lot with how plants
Yeah.
would look.
Yeah.
So like, how was that process like,
That was, oh my God.
experimenting new stuff?
So before I come to college, I will
Mm-hmm.
say, for Kala
Mm-hmm.
and for Jose especially, I have to shout out like my younger sibling who is a doctor but also draws and plays
Mm.
D&D and draws D&D characters.
Wow.
So I very much was just like, oh, I'm like bogged down with work, but I need to figure this out. And then they did like this really rough pencil sketch. And they're like, what about something like this? And I was like, oh my God, somehow you figured it out. And then I had to like use that. So I think they were a big part of the
The
process.
pencil sketch of color that you
Yeah,
sent me.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So that's good.
nice.
So they draw a lot, and I think it's hard to also find time for your craft when you're also like, being a doctor
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out
Yeah.
like med school and stuff like that. But for the first couple of them, I did ask for help because I was just like, I also in that, the starting stage of like, I'm floundering a little bit to move and then I think it takes a couple of them to get the ball
Mm-hmm.
rolling and then it gets
Yeah.
a little easier. But I have to say that like they were a big part of like me figuring that out and so big shout out to Malu
Hell
for
yeah.
that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. They're making disgusting faces at me from behind the laptop, but yeah,
As they would, as a sibling
absolutely.
would.
Yeah, as yeah. But for Akash and like the plants, oh, I think I noticed this where if I'm uh, it's a where you're kind of like what is it called? Like Bader Meinhof, like where you notice a thing and then you know this is like Bader Meinhof syndrome, where if you notice a word or you learn a new word and then you start seeing the word everywhere and you're like, has
Mm-hmm.
it always been around or am I just like
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it's not that exactly, but when I was drawing college, I was also reading like a Genshin fanfic about like the starting of a garden, and I think I was thinking about plants differently. So it was
Mm-hmm.
weirdly coinciding with the fact that I was um, reading about plants and trying to because I'm not like a big green thumb person. I have very much killed a lot of plants, but I am learning, I think, and especially as we talk about like gardening and slow hobbies and things that sort of break you from this cycle of like, just like scrolling for the
Mm-hmm.
dopamine and things like that. And so I think I went into this also wanting to like I've been going on walks with my roommate who can identify plants better than me, and there's like a little park. So I think I've also been trying to pay more attention to plants when I have just been like, oh, that's a leaf. I know a leaf when I see one, but like what
Mm-hmm.
leaf is it? Who knows? So I think in that way, I was also trying to draw from memory when it came to like what have other plants I've seen like in the park that I go to and like being like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you've been paying attention. Like think about the leaves you've seen. So in some ways, a little bit of testing myself, in some ways, like and it feels like a little project, where you are going on walks and looking at plants. You are trying to keep plants alive for the first time, and you are reading like a story about plants, and you're getting to draw characters that is mostly plants. So in some ways, I was like, wow, it's all coming together as like a cohesive, like all-round education type of little module that was happening for me, and so I think I had a really like fun time, and I think that's one of the ones that I also I loved getting to do all the little details in the lines of the dress and everything. I love texture. I love a lot of like
Yeah.
wiggly lines. So I think this one was especially like fun and meditative to draw because it was just a lot of like, when you're trying to draw like wood grain, like,
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's something like that. So Parish was one of my like favorites to work on. And so, and also like one of the strangest as like the
Yeah.
one who seemed not least human, but like, yeah, kind of like least human in
Yeah.
the sense of like, in terms of like, hmm, yeah, I think she might have been counted as the least human.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. She was like the most like fantastical
Exactly. Yeah.
of the pantheon.
Yeah.
And like talking about the little details, I was like zooming in and checking out like the art, especially with Kala and her mehendi, uh,
Yeah.
which is like
Mm.
so good. And with Ming Lee, the dress
Yeah, yeah.
Ming Lee was wearing and the certain details,
Yeah.
and right down to Qismat, who
Mm.
like I consulted on
Yeah.
that because that was the only character I properly consulted from like right from the start to finish. I had an idea
Mm-hmm.
of what Qismat looked like. The most early form of iteration for Qismat was that she was just going to wear just wearing ragged clothes, but like every part of her is covered except for the eyes. I just knew that much. Um, not exactly mummified,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew that she was wearing loose clothes,
Mm-hmm.
but every part of her body was covered except for the eyes. I knew that much. And you can see that in the storyboard which I made.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but I it took me a long time to find the profile uh, of the horse rider and
Mm-hmm.
I'm forgetting her name right now, but yeah, I started following her like in the past couple of years. I kept forgetting her name, and then I somehow found uh, her again. And I was like, yes, like this is the proper like Kismet is her. And I sent you like those reels and
Yeah.
pictures, and she was
She's
like so fucking
fantastic.
badass.
She's so cool. I'm like, first of all, in this beautiful outfit, because already horse riding is hard
Yeah.
in my head. I've not done it in a hot minute. I must have been like a child back in like, those fair horses where you
Yeah.
it's a hard thing. I've seen people and then you're dressed in this most magical getup and then you are still making it look so easy and effortless. Still, one of those things where like sometimes you see a person and you're like they've unlocked a certain extra level of like a certain aspect that
Yeah.
am yet to
Extra level of cool which you did not even know
yeah, or
existed.
comfort in your like you're like I
Yeah.
don't know how you're doing this. So
Like
I'm like
she's wearing a hijab, a proper niqab she's
yeah.
wearing, and she's riding a horse and shooting arrows. And I'm like,
Mhm.
how? Sis
Because
I was like, sister,
three
how?
separate things that you are already scoring like a 15 on 10 at. Like it takes a lot of like I'm sure like some kind of discipline to get good at
Yeah.
horse riding, get good at shooting arrows, and
Mm.
also to look and feel that comfortable in a niqab. And
Mm.
like what is happening? This is all coming together in that kind of seamless way where you're like, is this a person? Is this like because this is such a fantastical sort of like I don't know how I like it feels like out of reach. That's I think what I'm thinking about. But still aspirational in the fact that someone like this exists and also could be used as like the muse for
Hmm.
a character design. So I feel like that was really the reels and everything helped. I just had screenshots of her and I was like looking at her dress and her jewelry and I was just like,
Mm.
I see. you know,
I see the
like
vision.
I see the vision. I also had like I went into kind of try to understand like how does like the wrap like how do the folds fall
Hmm.
like around like the head like if you wrap it like where is it tight, where is it loose. I have a lot of trouble with fabric, so I think
Hmm.
that is what I had to like figure out because in her pose when her hand is sort of kept like this, I couldn't figure out the L.
Yeah.
I was like, and so I was fully like on Pinterest being like pirate blouses, and then trying to find people who dressed in like these puffy
Hmm.
like pirate clothes, and then trying to find the right angle to be like, how does the fabric fold when your hand is
At the
just like this
elbow. Yeah.
elbow? And I had to like also try with like I have like one top that is kind of like puffy, so I
Mhm.
put that on, and I'm just like
Wow.
moving my hand in the mirror. It
Such
was very
method acting.
truly like referencing. Oh my gosh.
I mean, like that
I
goes.
Yeah,
I
it
mean, like that tracks.
works. Yeah, there is this guy. His name is Tommy Arnold, and he has done fan art for one of my favorite series of this year called Murderbot. The Murderbot Diaries. It was actually turned into an Apple TV series with with Alexander Skarsgård, yes. And so and so I read the books this year, and he's done fan art for it. And I found an article. The fan art looks so realistic, and I'm just like, how does someone's brain work like this to create
Mm.
these images? And then I found an article where he explains how he makes it, and he has posed as the person for each person in that image, and then he's composed all those like poses
Amazing.
of himself, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's why
That's
these are so
dedication.
good. Yeah, that's why these are so good, because the effort that has gone into it like absolutely comes through, because I cannot understand how someone comes up with this, and to see the process, I'm just like, oh my gosh, man. And I read this a little earlier, and so
Mm.
I was fully in that like, okay, if I stand like this in the mirror, where does my hand go? So the mirror is
Oh,
behind
lovely.
me, so as I'm like drawing, I'm just like checking in the mirror and then coming back to it. So I think that actually, I think incorporating that into the process was quite fun. I want to do more of that going forward.
Nice, nice. Uh, yeah, and like little tidbits to like match color, and I think like in certain ways, like yeah, color and Qismat's match, especially with the eye color
Mm.
and the way they were in the direction they were looking in. And like yeah, and especially I love like the I know like you can't like make out exactly what's written on the sword, but you can make
Mhm.
out like there are things, the textures
There
on the
are
sword. There's
things
some
that,
things
yeah,
written, which is like so you don't need to know like what's written there, but there is something written
exactly.
there,
Yeah.
which was like the idea behind it, and the textures on the clothes, which was which was honestly so cool.
I
I
have
was
to.
discussing it with Steve, like,
Mhm.
man, like the Qismat series would look good, so good as an 80s anime.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
the
That
like the early, not the
I'm
early,
thinking like
the
Sailor Moon, like that kind of like slightly
yeah,
prettier,
mm,
um,
or like uh,
textured.
yeah, or and textured like Akira and Ghost in the Shell
Yes,
kind
yes.
of way. Oh, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like fully delusional about this now. It has to be. And
I also talking to Steve, and I said, you know what we should do? We should put all of the portraits on like little cards, like a tarot deck, and then just sell. Like, I mean, you guys can have like a little deck of the characters, or maybe like mirrors, where like it's like God and God Killer on each card.
mhm.
You know,
I had an idea of like printing of like making DVDs, DVD
oh,
of Qismat, God Killer
that's a
Qismat,
good idea.
and having that as that. I already have the DVD cover art,
Oh my God.
like ready with the characters and the characters uh, on the cover and the gods on the insole
Mm-hmm.
or on the back or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's something I do want to do. And yeah, and we already have the art, so like maybe we can do something with now
Yes.
that Pencil's merge is out. Hey Steve, are you listening? I mean like I mean I say, are you Steve, are you listening? He's the one who suggested it to me.
Good job, Steve. Good ideas all around.
Uh-huh. Uh, yeah, I think that's about it as far as like our talk goes. I do need to shout you out one more time because like you gave me this art of yours and I've cut it out because I'm gonna put it on my DM screen.
27, I will tell you,
Mhm.
my entire art journey, truly, I am unashamed to admit, starts with like Naruto. Me being exposed to Naruto at the tender age of 14, when
Wow.
your brain is
Bacha.
so susceptible to being like absolutely like the brain chemistry being altered, it happened. I was 14. I was I know where I know how old I was. It was truly life changing, and I think it all just started with, of course, I drew before that, but character design wise, I think I was so truly in love with this
Mhm.
show that I started trying to draw my own characters and I started trying to like look at Naruto art and copy it. That's where it all started. That's also why a bunch of my Instagram is still Naruto art to this day. So yeah, I'm so glad. I also have like new merch. So when we meet, fingers crossed, we
Hell yeah.
get to hang out in December. There will be
Absolutely.
some. I'm really
Awesome.
excited. I will show you. Yeah, maybe.
All right. Meghna, thank you so much for doing such good stuff for Qismat. And thank you for coming to talk to me about this. This interview officially closes out Qismat's like any long form extra material.
Oh my gosh,
And
exciting.
yeah, the only things which are gonna come out are gonna be like reels, highlights, etc.
Right,
But
right.
this like officially closes out all the interviews, any talk that I've had with people. So yeah,
No,
thank you so
thank you.
much. And to those who are still
Likewise.
watching, the link to the full series is in the comment as well as in the description. So go check the series out, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank